I look on peace as one of the basic human rights, along with the right of people to have good health and education and housing and so forth, the basic necessities of life. The Carter Center's slogan is waging peace instead of waging war. But that means an aggressive effort in every troubled international incident to have peace as a preeminent consideration and a goal. I'd say it's a matter of mutual respect for others. It's not just an absence of war, it's a positive, to use a religious phrase, attempt to love your neighbor and to put that idealistic and simple phrase into practical application in international policy and domestic policy as well. You know, it's not just a matter of human lives being lost and the ancillary suffering of women and children and older people in the war zones, like we see happening so vividly and daily now in Syria, but for just the well-being of our own people, to devote that same $1 trillion or so that we've spent in Afghanistan to helping our own people have a better life through education and health care, things of that kind. So I think you don't have to rationalize, you can have tangible choices to be made. Mm-hmm. But I think the general public needs to have that message and that emphasis coming from the White House on a sustained and I'd say genuinely a thoughtful and believable basis. Well, the initial and overriding thing is for the president and other leaders in his government or her government to engender that commitment among the population of our country. Try to devise a paragraph or two in every speech on whatever subject might be of interest at a time, some explanation of how peace is beneficial to us individually as citizens of the United States, and how war is likely to involve not only our economic sacrifices, but also personal sacrifices. I think the achievement of the sustainability goals, which is almost inevitably going to improve life. If it can do the same thing for peace, and it has done in the past, say for maternal survivability at birth and infant mortality, things like that, which made good progress, I think that would be a notable achievement. But I think just the overall principle that we are tying in peace as one of the goals to be reached by everybody, not just the leaders who decide on war or peace, is a very good thing, because that will permeate throughout the people in individual countries, maybe more than if they had left peace out. I'm very glad to see it included. I think we ought to be known in the most remote areas of the world as a champion of peace, so that people that are threatened with a civil war or maybe a war with a neighbor would have their first thought, why don't we go to Washington? Because Washington is deeply committed to peace, and they'll promote peace in their own policies and help us as well. And the same thing could apply to other aspects of life. Mm. It's not enough just to have the most formidable weapon system on earth or the most powerful currency on earth with a dollar or the most acceptable, world language in English. there's other things. What are the things that make a nation great? I would say staying at peace would be one of them. It's a tone that needs to be set by leadership and by scholars and by analysts and so forth. And I'm thankful for your organization that keeps peace in the forefront.